Harry's Wife, Part 100.16, New York Post, Slamdown. In the red corner, the wielder of weighty words of wisdom, the purveyor of pointed precision-placed put-downs, the issuer of insightful, irremovable indignations, the speaker of scintillating sass, the oracle of opinion, the derider of the deluded, and she is taking aim with her pomposity pistol, Maureen Callahan of the New York Post. In the beige corner, the Empress of Woke, the demented Duchess of Delusion, the bringer of industrial beige, bananitarian extraordinaire, the wearer of woeful attire. Kermit goes to church. Inspector Gadget gets booed. Pit stains from hell. Fridge by Valentino. The bouncing berry of Harlem. Chairman Mao bores children in Harlem. Poo emoji hat and burst operite tomato woman. It's journalistic joy versus vapid vacuous venality. Let's get ready to rumble. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, and welcome to a further analysis of the ongoing crumbling of Harry's wife. We turn to an article that has appeared by Maureen Callahan in the New York Post, headlined, Toddler and Tiara, Harry's wife still throwing tantrums about royal family. Lest anyone remain in doubt, Harry's wife's latest interview makes one thing clear. This woman has nothing to say. Challenge fuel, once again demonstrating the collateral consequences of the disastrous interview with The Cut. She has nothing to offer, no original thoughts or guiding philosophy, no earthly reason to be taking so much money from and so much space in the mainstream media she so clearly despises. Hypocrisy, residual benefits. You know, just as she despises the British royal family, even as she clings to her title and accepts money from her father-in-law, the future king, who reportedly subsidised her and husband Prince Harry's £14.5 million mansion, purchased for their privacy. Sense of entitlement, lack of emotional empathy, hypocrisy. Yet still again, the Greta Garbo of Monty Shit Show sits for another major profile, this time for New York Magazine. Forget the people's princess, now we're saddled with the petulant princess, one whose preferred crown is perpetual victimhood. For the past 3 years, she's had a global platform, yet all she does with it is complain that she's been censored, silenced, shut out. Pity plays, victim mentality, sense of entitlement, lack of boundary recognition, delusion, hypocrisy. For one who claims that she's been silenced and shut out, she never fucking shuts up. Harry's wife has been a public downer longer than she was a working duchess. It's long past time for a new talking point. I must concede her lone accomplishment here. Just when you think Harry's wife can't get any more delusional, she outdoes herself. Her self-regard runs in direct opposite to her waning relevance. She clearly has no real friends left, a point I've made repeatedly, or even decent publicists. Or maybe the publicists keep trying, but so long as she keeps paying, they'll put up with the beating. Because anyone with an iota of common sense would say, you know, Harry's wife, it's probably best not to compare yourself to Nelson Mandela. Reader, in this profile, Harry's wife compares herself to Nelson Mandela. Settle in. I had just had Archie, she says. It was such a cruel chapter. I was scared to go out. But go out she did. Hypocrisy. Alas, there's no keeping Harry's wife down to a performance of The Lion King. Afterward, a South African cast member, she says, looked at me, and he's just like light. He said, I just need you to know, when you married into this family, we rejoiced in the streets the same we did when Mandela was freed from prison. Oh, this piece is full of howlers. Enjoy it. Savor the details. Don't read it with your mouth full. Anyone who's read Tom Barr's recent book knows that Harry's wife is an inveterate liar. But here we have the Duchess in her natural habitat, a soulless mansion. Harry's wife backlit by the late morning light in a scene that looks like a Nancy Mayer cinematic interior, Town and Country, Goop, and Architectural Digest had an orgy, and this only frees her up to reveal her most authentically inauthentic self in all her resentful glory. We begin with the invisible help, lighting a scented candle from the members-only Soho house. The founder, Harry's wife, says a friend. Annual dues run a little over $4,000. But remember, even though she wants to be known as a humanitarian, a feminist, and a renegade, what are equally important are all the famous people she knows and the exclusive rich-only places she has access to. Grandiosity, character trait acquisition. Harry's wife opens the interview with the most millennial of revelations. Do you want to know a secret, she asks? I'm getting back on Instagram. Stop the presses. Or not. Harry's wife doubles back on that bold announcement almost immediately. She's not sure. She says she might not. Lots to consider. Notice her narcissism functions in the moment. Assert control over the interviewer by saying, I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm getting back on Instagram. Moments later, new moment, which her narcissism sees as completely unrelated to the previous moment. I might not. I'm not sure. Lots to consider. Returning to the article. What those factors are, she cannot say. Oh, in this moment. At one point in our conversation, writes Alison P. Davis, instead of answering a question, she will suggest how I might transcribe the noises she's making. She's making these guttural sounds, and I can't quite articulate what it is she's feeling in that moment, because she has no word for it. She's just moaning. Imagine that being sat opposite somebody that you're interviewing, who's telling you what to write, and he's basically sat there going, One suggests, perhaps, that she's purchased some love eggs from Goop and left them in for a little bit too long. This might be the single most insane thing I've ever read in a celebrity profile. Truly, it's Charlie Kaufman-esque. Harry's wife evincing such pain that she's non-verbal, yet verbalizing why she's ostensibly non-verbal to her profiler. Contradictory, word salad. Who Harry's wife says should tell us that Harry's wife doesn't know what she's feeling because Harry's wife told her, in Harry's wife's own words, that there are no words for it. Able to keep up yet? It's celebrity profile by way of Kafka, and it says something that the hundreds of reader comments on New York Mag site, a self-selecting group of self-identified feminist social justice warriors, mostly proclaim her phony, delusional, and vapid, if not an outright liar. What will make Harry's wife happy? Hell, if she knows. The only solace she finds from this existential torment, it seems, is sitting for fancy photo shoots and talking to friendly journalists. When the media has shaped the story around you, Harry's wife whines, it's really nice to be able to tell your own story. Here's something this self-styled brilliant mind seems to have missed. A little thing called social media has long allowed for unmediated, unfiltered communication between celebrities and the rest of us. The great unwashed, who still, despite Harry's wife cawing and crying on Oprah, or among starving African children, nobody asks if I'm okay, or her new podcast, more on that later, still don't get how hard it is to be Harry's wife. Unappreciated duchess in exile, transcendent representation of rare greatness. Why won't we all just adore her? Gwyneth Paltrow, consider yourself dethroned. We have a new queen of all things insufferable. One of the first things my husband saw when we walked around the house was those 2 palm trees, she says, touring her grounds with our ink-stained wretch. See how they're connected at the bottom? He goes, "My love, it's ours." And now every day when Archie goes by the trees, he says, "Hi, Mama. Hi, Papa." Archie is 3. Another thing about Archie, the toddler whose privacy necessitated fleeing the royal family like thieves in the night, Harry's wife teaches him that salt and pepper are always passed together. Get it? Salt and pepper, white and black. It's a none-too-subtle metaphor for her and Harry's great love, struggling to survive amid royal racism, even though the Queen fast-tracked Harry's wife into the fold as no bride royal before her, even though the British taxpayers happily spent over $40 million on their wedding and lined the streets to cheer this modern American mixed-race divorcee. But Harry's wife's interlocutor does not ask about her and Harry's wife's disgraced attendance at the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, the public shunning from his family, the boos from the public, nor is Harry's wife asked about Netflix reported impatience with her and Harry's inability to produce content, despite 2 years and a $100 million deal. She doesn't ask about Harry's wife's frankly unbelievable claims that the royals didn't care that she was suicidal, or that royal staffers allegedly fled Harry's wife's employ in droves and often in tears, or the claims that she bullied Kate Middleton's toddler daughter Charlotte for not being the ultimate in small royal bridesmaids. All omissions, I think, that rise to the level of journalistic malpractice. If there's ever another Oprah sit-down, as has been rumoured, Oprah, please, do us all a public service and ask Harry's wife the tough questions. Left to her own devices, here, Harry's wife returns to her default mode, perseverating over the Queen's refusal to give her and Harry everything they wanted, sense of entitlement, delusion, grandiosity, namely to monetize their royal status while owing nothing in public service. That, for whatever reason, Harry's wife's not saying race, but she kind of is not something we were allowed to do, even though several other members of the family do that exact thing. Why do you think that is? Davis asked. Why do you think that is? Harry's wife shoots back. Davis presses for an answer, and Harry's wife, ever the C-list actress, shifts into soap opera mode. I don't know, she says, casting a knowing gaze out into the middle distance. Dear Lord, how about the most logical answer? One, I'm quite sure, was explained to her ad nauseum. You don't get something for nothing. Cut a few ribbons, shake a few hands, and luxuriate in your castles and your taxpayer millions and your access to the most famous and powerful people on the planet. Now Harry's wife's been reduced to just another hustler, here to promote her podcast, the product of a reported $25 million deal with Spotify, one that took nearly 2 years to generate a single episode. And guess what it's about? It's like I'm not finding my voice, Harry's wife says. I've had my voice for a long time, but being able to use it. Because if anyone's been silenced, as Nelson Mandela was, it's Harry's wife. A note about that podcast. A lot of people listen to it, I know. I also firmly believe those ratings are the audio equivalent of rubbernecking. If the first episode, ostensibly an interview with Serena Williams, is reflective of the rest, this is really a podcast about Harry's wife. She leads with her oft-reported origin story of feminist Harry's wife standing up to corporate America as an 11-year-old, a story Tom Bauer surgically took apart as false, then asks us to marvel at her long-time friendship with Williams and endure another tall tale in which the royals and the staff do not care that baby Archie was burned to death in South Africa. The conversation is everything one would expect. Harry's wife going on about her lived experience. Is there any other kind? Her dear, dear friend Serena, and the labels, boxes, and archetypes that women still suffer. Women being proxy for Harry's wife, archetypes such as spoiled brat, ungrateful, delusional, hypocrite. Now, I would also admit that I didn't think that Harry's wife would surpass the moment when, as a working royal, she spontaneously wrote inspirational messages. You are strong, you are loved, for sex workers on bananas. But here we see a totally spontaneous and sugary everyday school pickup. She scoops Archie up in a big hug so full of genuine emotion that both close their eyes, turn into a teachable moment about the homeless. At a stoplight, Harry's wife reaches into the trunk and produces a brand new black backpack and hands it to a security detail to give to an unhoused man on the corner. Yes, young American royal, non-royal Archie. If you want to give some food to a starving homeless person, peanut butter crackers and granola bars, no home meals or cash or the like, have the help do it. No need to get near poverty and filth yourself. Grandiosity, hypocrisy, cognitive empathy, but no emotional empathy. And then we go back to the Monty Shit Show mansion, where Harry's wife has already another anecdote about the grand piano that Tyler Perry gave her as a housewarming gift, instructing her to write the soundtrack for your life, she says. So relatable. Harry's wife winds down by returning to her other favourite subject, forgiveness. Even though she won't forgive her father, whose main crime has been talking to the media, she wants the royal family to know that someday, maybe, she might forgive them. False contrition, grandiosity. She, of course, has nothing to be forgiven for. Why would anyone even ask? I think forgiveness is really important, Harry's wife says, adding that she has a lot to say until I don't. Sometimes, as they say, the silent part is still part of the song. Harry's wife, two very weary nations beg you, please be that silent part. Well, of course, there we have it. And that is a total slamdown for Callahan, taking apart Harry's wife and yet again evidencing the narcissism, although not saying as such, that has run rampant through this interview, which has completely backfired. But what does the comments section have to say? Let's go below the line and find out. Mama J, having never heard of The Cut, I went to their website. There's a banner for an article over the picture of the Harry's wife article that says, "Rat season never ends. Summer may be almost over, but rodents are forever." The picture of Harry's wife's cover is directly beneath. I spit my coffee. Amanda Matthews, I think most people's reaction to that title was exactly the same as yours. I know mine was. Earl of Hickson, I did a screenshot of the magazine cover and modified the title by the addition of one letter. I'm sure I'm not the only one to do so. That has 542 thumbs ups. DD, I believe that this B actress is insanely jealous of the future Queen Kate, who is the star. Kate is beautiful and has a wonderful reputation as a loving wife and mother, a patriot who obviously loves her country and meeting people, wearing gorgeous clothes, and is fun to be with. The royal family bent over backwards to welcome Harry's wife. She wore crown jewels. The future king walked her down the aisle. She was gifted with a gorgeous home and participated in family and royal functions. Yet this woman, who can't get along with her own family, constantly complains and has been caught in lie after lie. This is the only way she can get attention. Someone responds, she was a briefcase girl at Deal or No Deal game show. What does that make her? F grade at least. Tina Davies. Excellent article, so much truth I doubt Harry's wife will be able to understand it, but the rest of the world that does. Roden writes, Wallis Simpson, the queen that never was. Princess Rhaenys Targaryen, the queen who never was. Harry's wife, the actress who never could. Let me tell you, oh boy, I truly hope Harry's wife sees this picture. A picture tells 1,000 words. Ralph Stars, I feel horrible for her kids. I don't know what she wants more, monetize them, or she's unwilling to share the attention. Dara Tutu Ryan, thanks to the post for this hilarious article. Harry's wife and Harry are just going to go down the tubes. If she really wanted to redeem herself, she should just go visit her poor father. That would take class and grace. That figures. Wow, nailed it. Nailed it, nailed it. Reading this article, I realised Harry's wife's actually not the smart one in this couple. Thanks for a very entertaining piece. I literally laughed out loud. Several times. And on it goes with the criticisms and the put-downs that have arisen all from this New York Post Slamdown. Another substantial publication pointing out all of the behaviours that we've come to know. Yet, once again, Harry's wife will not sit up and take notice and reflect. She will dismiss it, protected once more by her narcissism. But her narcissism ultimately is not going to be able to protect her in the sense of what will be stripped away from her in terms of popularity, money, and the repeated threats to control. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.